What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Palm City Chucks. We got no college this week. We're still waiting on the two semifinal games. Penn State, Ohio. I'm jumping the gun there with that. Penn State and
You better
Notre
find
Dame.
some wood, buddy.
Yeah, and then Ohio State, Texas. Trust me, I hit my TV stand immediately as soon as that
There we
slipped out
go.
of my mouth.
Good
But
man.
that was a mistake. Still waiting on those. Two and three more days till we get there. Excited about those. So let's move right into the NFL. We wrapped up the regular season last week. So exciting. We know who's in the playoffs now. We know what the matchups are.
Yeah.
But before we get there, we owe it to you all to let you know how our year-long competition wrapped up. So let's give you a little recap, right? Coming into last week, I was ahead by 4. I expanded my lead the last couple weeks, making it a little tough for Kris. He went a little crazy, to say the least. He changed quite a few picks off air after we filmed last week.
Yes.
Did not end up working out for him. He ended up dropping 2 additional games last week. So at the end of the year, I won this thing by 6 picks. Final score 185 out of 272, a 68% clip. Not bad, but I'm looking for 70% next year. I want some improvement. Kris, 179 out of 272, sitting at 65.8. How do we compare to the ESPN experts at the end of the year? At the beginning of the year, I was ahead of so many. I started hot. I kind of took a bit of a cold streak in the middle. Kris caught me a little bit. They caught me a little bit. But at the end of the year, I'm ahead of more than half. Ahead of 6, behind 5. I'll take it. Again, looking for some improvement next year. Kris, sitting at the same spot he was last week, even though I went a little crazy. Head of 2, below 9. We're looking for some improvement there for my co-host as well, coming into next year.
Yeah. Hey, I like it. 70% is a good benchmark. That's what I'm shooting for as well. I'd say we did pretty good for first year.
Oh, absolutely. Picking every single game, every week, putting them in multiple games. Some of you people that listen, we put them in multiple days before the games actually start, so sometimes there's news that comes out that might have changed the way we think as well, but we try to stay true to what we told you all that we picked and believed. So maybe we'll switch that up next year, something to consider. We'll let you know. But with that, I win. So what do I get? What do I get?
Congrats, buddy. You got tickets coming your way, buddy. Or ticket. We clarify.
Yes, ticket.
Not made of money over here. Yeah. Nah. So Lions Packers, right? It's gotta be.
Lions Packers is the closest one to me. Only one that really makes sense. So probably. But we could talk about that if something else makes sense, because I think the Lions do play the Eagles next year. So I'm pretty sure I saw that schedule. Since they both finished number 1 in their divisions, I think they play.
Oh yeah,
maybe something to consider.
I think we actually play the North and you guys play the East next year. So yeah, we're definitely playing. But irregardless, you said it. We both finished top of our division in the NFC. We're playing. So
absolutely.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. So with that all wrapped up. Let's talk playoffs. I mean, come on. What more can you ask for? The season coming to a wrap. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty, win or go home for these teams. Some of these teams faced that last week, too, and we'll get into that. But let's start with final seeding for the AFC. What do we got? 1 through 7. We got the Chiefs. Then we got the Bills. Then the Ravens, Texans, Chargers, Pittsburgh, and Broncos. Kris, what game you want to start with over in the AFC?
Man, let's go to the 2v7. We got the Broncos going to Buffalo. Feel like this could be fun, honestly. Could be.
I don't know.
I will say, teams that went to Buffalo this year, it didn't really work out too well for them. No. The Bills are, we know they're crazy good. And at home this year, they've just been insane, putting up like 30-plus a game. Just ridiculous to, try and beat them when they're at home, especially with a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix. I see it going the Bills' way, but the Broncos' defense has been impressive this year, and I'm hoping they can at least keep it close, keep it entertaining. But yeah, I'm thinking the Bills got to come out on top there.
No, I'm of the same mine mostly, I think I see the chances of the Broncos doing something here a little bit less than you do, maybe, based on how you described that. Like, the Bills at home have just been a force. Josh Allen is fantastic. And it won't surprise me if he goes out in these playoffs, but I don't think it's going to be round one to the Broncos. I think the Broncos are going to be happy to be here, and they're going to play a good game because they're young and they're excited, right? But that also means they're young and they're excited, and they're probably going to make some playoff mistakes, right?
Right. And you said it. I mean, they got the W on the season already. That was making the playoffs with a rookie quarterback and just an overall young squad.
Yeah. So, could be exciting. I don't necessarily think so, but we'll see. But I think the Bills come out there as well, and I think they move on to the divisional round. But let's talk NFC North matchup. I mean, this is so exciting. Pittsburgh at 6, the Ravens at the 3. I mean, the Steelers did this to themselves, right? I mean, they had every opportunity to go out there in Week 18 at home and beat the Bengals. Claim the 5 seed. They get to play the Texans. In my opinion, a much better matchup than the Ravens. But no, they rolled over, took the L to the Bengals, gave their NFC North rivals a chance to make the playoffs. Well, they didn't, and we'll get into that. But they gave them every chance. Yeah. So, I mean, and you brought it up last week. The Steelers are a team just trending downward right now.
Yeah, they really are.
With that said, it's looking like a lot of snow in Baltimore for this game. I think that plays against Lamar. And I think people tend to forget Pittsburgh tends to be Lamar's kryptonite. He really struggles to put up good games against the Steelers. Their defense just knows him so well. So with all of that said, I got our first upset here. I think the Steelers are going to take this one in Baltimore.
Wow. There we have it. Yeah, I was close to making that same call. I mean, you said it, and we mentioned it in the regular season. The Steelers beat the Ravens. Like, they just do. And especially since Lamar's been a Raven, they seem to have his number. And I don't know if the snow helps them or hurts them, because I feel like Henry in the snow is definitely a nice bonus too. But yeah, it's definitely going to hurt the passing games of both teams. But the Steelers have a decent rushing attack themselves. So, I mean, I think this is just going to be classic AFC North just beating the piss out of each other, really. And,
absolutely.
I went back and forth on this one a lot. And I ended up falling on the Ravens. And I just feel like they're better, you know? When it's all said and done, they're better. And, yeah, they struggle with the Steelers, but they already had that happen this year. And I don't know if it's going to happen twice in the same year, one game being a home playoff game. I couldn't end up picking them. But, yeah, totally a possibility, and definitely one of the best matchups this weekend. I'm really excited for it.
No, I agree. And, like, another thing that kind of pushed me towards the Steelers is even with the snow, I kind of expect George Pickens to blow up a little bit. He had a terrible Week 18. 5 targets, 1 grab for 0 yards, 3 drops.
Yeah.
3 drops on 5 targets. And some of them were in critical moments.
Yeah.
Like, made a difference in the game. So I think he's going to be pissed off because he plays as a pissed off player. And I think this is just going to heighten that. And that's his strength when he's playing. So I see him maybe being the difference maker here. But it would not surprise me if this goes the other way. I believe I picked the Ravens to come out of the AFC at the beginning of the year, so I surprised myself a little bit by making this pick in the first round.
That's a fun pick, dude. And like I said, I was really close to making it myself. I don't know if it can happen twice in the same year, but maybe.
Yeah, no, I agree. And before we move on to the Chargers-Texans, since we talked about the 7 seed a little bit, we talked about Pittsburgh and mentioned the Bengals. I mean, it's only fair to the Bengals if we talk about what kept them out, right? I mean, because they turned it on at the end of the year. 5-game win streak. Defense definitely started to look a little bit better. Yeah. Not like world class or anything, but improved for sure. Yes. And it was enough to let Joe Burrow continue what he was doing, but come out on the winning end at the end of the year. And they finished 9-8. Same record as the Broncos. Broncos won that, though, on strength of schedule, right? So really unfortunate for the Bengals that the Chiefs sat everybody because the Broncos went out there and destroyed the
Oh my
backups on the
gosh,
Chiefs.
dude, they rolled starters so long in that game.
Yeah.
Like, it was so out of hand early, and they just kept rolling them out. And I'm like, this is bad karma.
Confidence.
What are you doing?
Confidence. It's definitely for confidence, man. That's absolutely what it had to be for.
It had to
I
be.
think I drew a different conclusion from this, and it was actually about the Chiefs, right? My conclusion from this is, like, we can say all we want about the Chiefs. Their offense has definitely been sputtering this year. We've said that a few times throughout the year. But all they did was take their critical offensive starters out of the game. Not even everybody, but just, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, the receivers. And just that turned this game into a 38-0 game for the Broncos. Those guys gone. So no matter what we want to say about how they do play, the most important thing is they know how to win games. And that squad goes and win games no matter how disgusting it looks. And that's really the conclusion I took from that, is that the Chiefs are still the most scary team when they have that squad out there because they just go win games no matter how ugly. That's actually what I took from that personally.
Yeah, I mean, that's no secret, and that is a crazy difference. I mean, across the league last week, we saw teams rest starters, and they were decent. They were able to put up points. You had teams that were resting starters actually win the game. And then, the Chiefs, just to not put up a single point and to allow 38 points, that was just a huge difference. Yes, Mahomes is very important.
Yeah. Well, we knew that. It's not necessarily breaking news, but it was just shocking to me. I just didn't expect 38-0. That's not what I was ready for on that scoreline.
No.
It's not like it was some rookie out there. It wasn't some world beater, but it was Carson Wentz, experienced guy. You'd think he'd go grab like 10 points or something. I don't know, but better than nothing.
Yeah.
But with that, gave Bengals their flowers, but they're done. Talk to you next year. See ya. 5-4 matchups. What we got left? Chargers, Texans. Another intriguing matchup. What do you think's happening here, sir?
It is tough, but honestly, I think the Chargers are going to come out on top here. They have been way more consistent than the Texans this year, without a doubt. They've had better play from the quarterback and defense, much better play, and just more or less consistency. They show up every week, win or loss. Texans have had some absolutely horrible showings this year, and we saw it last week. They played the starters for a little bit, had some success, and then yanked them. But, was that really enough to get the confidence going? I'm not too sure. And, I just feel like they're still a really young team, and I don't know that they're quite ready for this.
I am of the exact same mind. I also think the Chargers are going to take this one in Houston. I mean, you said it perfectly. I really can't say it any better. The Chargers have looked better. I believe these two teams actually ended up with the same record, both 10-7 maybe. But one of them won a division, one of them got the top wild card. But the Texans have just looked so unconvincing this year. And they only got 10 wins in a division with the Colts, Jaguars, and Titans. I mean, is this really that strong of a team? They looked like it last year. Certainly not so far this year. C.J. Stroud has really struggled, in my opinion.
Yes.
It has been
Sophomore
quite a slump year. Yep, absolutely. To a T. I mean, no Diggs probably had a bit of an impact. I mean, Nico's been great, don't get me wrong, but they lost him for a little while, so that probably made a difference. But even since he came back, I'm not convinced by what I'm seeing. So I really think the Chargers are going to come out on top here.
Yeah, and you had a great point there. Their division was garbage, man. To leave with that record overall, that is rough. I mean, we saw them drop one to the Titans. That's just inexcusable. I don't care if you're division rivals and all of that. Ugh. But that should have been 6 wins to start the year. And
all you have to do is look at the NFC North. A 15-win team, 14-win team, 11-win team. Those 3 teams all have more wins than the Texans. And the Texans got to play those 3 teams 6 times. And those NFC North teams had to play each other twice.
Yeah. I was just going to say, that 11-win team, the Packers, 1-5 in their division.
Yeah. Exactly.
5 of their 6 losses were from the NFC North. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
NFC
two different
North.
worlds.
Yeah, NFC North, top division in the league, baby. Let's go. Um,
Yeah, and
and
6 and
and
0 for
waiting,
you, buddy.
I know.
Not to jump the
Waiting,
gun.
waiting for one of those teams will, of course, be Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. We'll find out which one come next week. I'm super excited about it. That's the AFC. Let's go to the NFC. And I think we started with 7-2 last time. It's
Yeah.
only fair we kick off with 7-2 here, and I'm going to let you take the lead, my guy.
First of all, I'm a little scared. Shouldn't be scared, and I've said it before, I'm not scared. The Eagles have played so good. First of all, it's Eagles Packers.
He's scared.
I'm
He's
getting
not
so
scared.
excited.
He can't decide.
No, let me elaborate, because this is a little frightening. Seriously. But, yeah, Eagles very good. If they show up, they play their game. They can beat anybody. We know this. But with the Hurts concussion thing, he's still in protocol. That is a little concerning. Now, he's definitely going to play, but has he prepared and has he practiced and all of that? I don't think so. He's in protocol, or at least he's not getting the reps he would if he was healthy. So that is a concern. Another concern is the Packers have lost to the same team twice, 2 different times this year. Twice to the Vikings, twice to the Lions. This will be the second game against the Eagles in which they lost the first time. Is this Packers team really going to drop 2 L's to the same team 3 different times in the same season? Like, that sounds sus to me. That sounds like something that shouldn't happen. But that being said, gotta roll with the Birds. We are the better team. We're at home. And as long as Hurts plays clean football, we should be fine. And he's been playing clean football most of the year. So if we're mistake-free, I mean, we should win this thing. So I'm rolling with us. And the Packers have some injuries, too. Love has a hurt hand. They lost Watson. He tore his ACL. Yeah, I mean, they have wide receiver depth. We know that. The list goes on and on. So I don't think that really hurts them that much. But if Love's not out there, that definitely will hurt them. I imagine he's going to suit up. It's playoff time, baby. Like, you got to go.
Yeah.
So I imagine he does. But, yeah, I'm rolling with the Eagles. But I did want to get those things out there because that frightens me. A team losing to 3 different teams twice in the same year, as good as the Packers are, little scary. Now, going into this, when we didn't really know the seeding, I also said for the Eagles, I was more worried about a team with obviously good offense and good defense as an opponent. I would rather just play a team with good offense over a team with good defense. Now, I think the Packers have good both, so that also susses me out a bit. Now, if we play a team with good offense, I feel like our defense will get some stops, and if their defense is weak, the Eagles can run it up. But with a team with good defense, that scares me a bit because, I mean, we need to score, and our defense is good, but we've been known to get out the gates slow, and we can give up some points that way. So this matchup doesn't really excite me. I'm a little worried, but go Birds. I'm going to breathe now.
I got 2 things from that. One, I'd be curious to know how you're just so confident that Jalen Hurts is going to play. I mean, we've seen guys stay in the concussion protocol this year for 3-4 weeks, like, consistently. Olave, Cedric Tillman, those are the 2 that come to mind, but I know there's more. And it has only been out 1 week. So, I don't know.
Well,
I mean, we'll see.
It's more than that. He left in the first quarter of the Commanders game, which was week 17. So it's going to be 2 weeks. And
Okay.
Also, little conspiracy door opening here, but I feel like concussions are kind of like iffy. Like, there isn't really a standard, it's case by case kind of thing, and I feel like they're not going to hold the Eagles quarterback out of a playoff game. Like, they're just not. And clearly he wants to play if he has any say in it at all. So I just feel like he's going to suit up. Whether technically he should or shouldn't, like, I feel like he's going to play.
We'll see. That's why they have the independent neurologist, though, to try to keep the bias out of it, which obviously
Yeah, they do.
impossible with humans to have 100% bias-free, and I'll probably be a Philly-based guy. So, a little bit there. But, I mean, still outside the organization, we'll see. I agree that there definitely isn't a super strict baseline to follow.
Right.
Like, okay,
Yeah, you see
he's
where I'm
here,
going.
So we're
It's
no,
like,
I see what you're saying. Like, there's
are we
definitely
really
some nuance.
Yeah, and it being playoffs, like the Eagles had a hell of a season. You really
Yeah.
gonna end it for them without really giving us a chance? Which, let me say, I mean Pickett and McKee both looked good in our offense. Maybe squeak by round one, but come on, people. We're not. This isn't Foles 2.0. We're not going all the way with one of them, in my opinion. The NFC is pretty strong, and yeah, I just don't see that miracle run repeating itself.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And the second thing there is to unfortunately give you some credit here is I think you're working yourself up a bit as an Eagles fan with the whole losing to three different teams twice in 1 year. Well, yes, I agree generally that's not ideal. I definitely think you're working yourself up a little bit extra over that fact. If that gives you
I believe
any
it,
peace
dude.
of mind coming from me, especially. But with that said, I got the Packers here. Week 1 was interesting, and that was forever ago. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Both teams are much improved since then. But honestly, the Packers scare me a little bit as a team in these playoffs here. We saw them last year go in and almost beat the 49ers, who ended up going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, exactly. Should have. So I think this might be a bit of a bogey game for the Eagles here. We'll see. That truly is non-Eagles bias pick as well. I would tell you if I am picking out my ass because I
we
want
know
to beat
that.
the Eagles.
We know.
But in this one, I really think the Packers are going to win this game.
Yeah, it's not a
I wish
great
both teams
matchup
could
for a
lose.
2 seed in the first
wish-
freaking round.
Oh, I agree. Like, I wish both teams could lose this game. To be clear,
Yeah. I'm
both
sure.
go to hell. But
You-
yeah.
Something tells me you want 6 teams out of the NFC to lose. I don't know why.
Yeah, but if the Lions can't be the team, the Packers and the Eagles definitely can't
You're
be
going
the team.
Rams for Stafford. Who are you fibbing?
Well, that's also a very true statement, but yeah. Well, with that, I mean, like I said, I got the Packers there. I think Jordan Love is going to have a good game. I'm not sure how Jalen is going to play. I'm curious. The Packers' defense has been good. They are one of the teams that force a lot of turnovers. Xavier McKinstry out there at safety. I mean, he's number 2 or 3 in the NFL for interceptions, so he's been a bit of a ball hawk this year. And I don't know, as you said, Jalen not getting those reps in practice, and he's kind of prone to mistakes when he's not in the flow consistently game to game. I see a mistake or two popping up there, and I think that could be the difference. We'll see.
No.
'Cause Josh Jacobs been balling too. That's all I'm saying. So I don't think there's. Saquon's
so
better.
is
Don't get me wrong.
Saquon Barkley.
Exactly. But what my point being there, I don't think there's like a huge gap between the running backs. I'll take Saquon, as I just said, but I'm definitely taking Jordan Love over Jalen, and I think that gap is bigger for me than the gap between Saquon and Jacobs this year. So I think given that, I got to go Packers here. Absolutely.
No way.
Absolutely.
No
Absolutely.
way, dude.
Look at the body of work over their careers. Absolutely. And if you even want to just look at just this year, Saquon better, as I said, but Josh Jacobs also bald. Absolutely bald.
That's not
I
what
don't
I'm
know
upset about.
Oh, what are you upset about? The gap between the two? That statement?
Yeah, the quarterbacks. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Sorry, but it is.
No way.
Jordan
dude.
Lo-
Look at
Jordan
the
Love
supporting
is-
cast. The Eagles
Look-
O-line, the Eagles receivers. Like, come on.
Okay, so if you want to go outside of that, sure. But at the end of the day, how many times have we said? A lot of times this comes down to the quarterback. It's the most important position out there. You said yourself, Jalen can't make mistakes or we might be on the wrong end of that. That is Jalen-centric viewing right there. So all I'm saying.
No, yeah, that's very true. But I
I'm
wouldn't say
saying.
Hurts is more prone to mistakes than Love.
I didn't necessarily say that either, but I'm taking Love over Jalen Hurts every day of the week and twice on Sunday. 100%.
You really just hate us.
I don't think that's a crazy take. I really don't.
It's fair.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
I know
We'll
I'm
see.
not going to sway you, so.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next game. We've had enough talk about that crap. One of us is going to be wrong. So, Washington, Tampa Bay. This is an intriguing game, and I think was the most difficult for me to really think through what I thought was going to happen here. I really couldn't tell you. Tampa Bay's defense has been horrible against the pass. Absolutely horrible. And while Jaden Daniels started out quite hot passing, I think he's taken a bit of a step back in terms of that at the back half of the year and just general quarterback play as teams started to figure him out a little bit. He's still playing excellent, don't get me wrong. It's not what I'm saying, but it's certainly not as like, wow, teams have no idea what to do as it was at the very beginning of the year.
He's got film out there.
Yes. But with that said, like I said, Tampa Bay's secondary has been terrible. So there is definitely the chance that Terry McLaurin could torch them, absolutely torch them. But then you go to the other side, and you got this guy Baker, and Baker is just balling. He will not quit. Loses Chris Godwin, doesn't have Mike Evans for a lot of games, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What's he do? Goes and wins the NFC South, which is also another crappy division. Don't get me wrong. It's nothing super impressive to go and win that. But, I mean, Baker is just balling, and I believe in him. I really do. So I got to go Tampa Bay here. And I think Washington might even be the better team, to be completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
But I just believe in Baker, and I think he goes and gets another first-round playoff win here. He's known for that, if you might remember last year.
This guy. You barely even know what playoffs are. Stop
I know.
It.
Not denying it.
But yeah, I couldn't agree more. This game is just going to be awesome. And to start it off, let me just say, both of these teams are phenomenal at finding a way. Like you were saying with the Chiefs, like both of these teams just find a way to win. We saw numerous miracle situations with the Commanders this year, and even a miracle that ended up falling up short against Dallas. But yeah, the teams just find a way to win. You said it, the Bucs got hit hard with the injury bug to their skilled positions, and Baker just found a way to get it done. Baker also shows up in the biggest games. This team beat the Eagles and the Lions this year. Like, that's no joke. And yeah, they've had plenty of losses along the way, but to show up in those moments against the top tier teams and to come out on top, that's impressive. That being said, I'm going Commanders. I just really think they're exciting, and I feel like Daniels is just going to get it done. And I know that's tough to believe after I just praised Baker and all of that. But I think a lot of this actually has to do with them having Lattimore. Because Lattimore is one of the few corners that actually holds his own against big physical receivers like Evans, like A.J. Brown, like those types of guys. Lattimore's a dog. And I feel like he can almost like cancel Evans out. Like, I'm sure Evans will have his moment, but he's not going to dominate the Commanders. And I feel like you said it, the Bucs defense looks really spotty this year, not very impressive at all. The Commanders' offenses look great.
Does. Yeah, not that the Commanders' defense does, though.
No, it doesn't. But they have some key star players, and like they have Lattimore, they have Wagner, they have Louvu. They have some skilled guys that can show up in a big moment. And yeah, and for those reasons, I'm going Commanders. I just feel like they're really going to quiet down Mike Evans, and Baker's going to have to find a way with other guys. And he very well could. I mean, this is what he does. But this was a very tough game to pick, like you said, and I just can't wait to watch it. We got so much good football this weekend. It's freaking awesome.
I also, went Tampa Bay based on feel there, but also I would love for them to go through so that if the Eagles do go through to the next round, those two got to play again. I would love a rematch there. I think it would just be a good football game. Not necessarily because of what happened last year, but I think a playoff rematch in the following year, it's always so exciting. Both teams want to win so bad. One wants to claim true dominance, and the other one wants to get back in some revenge. So
yeah.
We'll see if that comes to fruition.
If that happens, hopefully it's the opposite of last year. We got them in the regular season. They got us in the postseason. This year they got us in the regular season. Let's get them in the postseason.
We'll see. Hopefully not. But let's go to the 5-4 game, which was another extremely difficult match to pick. I also have so many feelings about players in this game that want to sway me a certain way, and also the fact that still I can't believe in these Vikings, man, especially now that we're in playoff time. We are in win or go home time. Can I really believe this team is going to make noise? I mean, yes, they won 14 games. We told ourselves a million times throughout the year, at some point we just got to believe.
Yeah.
And I still just, I did in the regular season. I think now that we're in playoff time, I don't. Especially given what the Lions did to them last week. And that's not just being said as a Lions fan, all right? The Lions dominated them. And they dominated them with a team that is playing with practice squad players starting on their defense. And then we go out and lose some of those practice squad players, Pat O'Connor, for example, to injury in the first quarter, and still allow 9 points and just absolutely dominate that game. I mean, there was no chance for Minnesota there. They could never get anything going. It was brutal. And do I really believe that a team that has those games in them against other high-quality teams, the Lions being one of them, didn't even have a good defense in that game, put up that kind of showing? I just don't know that I can believe it. And Matthew Stafford is also a big game player.
Yeah.
Proven big game player. So I got to go the Rams here. I do. I could totally regret that and be told once again, believe in Skull. But I got the Rams.
Yeah. Well, there was no bias going on because I agree with you entirely. After last week's showing against the Lions, I mean, Darnold, if you blitz him, clearly he just cannot perform because that's all that was happening. They made sure there was pressure, and the guy just missed throw after throw. You look early in that game, and on the same drive, he missed Jefferson 2 times in the end zone, plays that need to happen if you're a starting quarterback in the NFL, and they did not happen. And I hate to slander the guy because he had a hell of a season, but that's what I saw. And that was a playoff game, ladies and gentlemen, and he put up that performance. So to your point about that was the regular season, this is the playoffs, I'm right with you. This is the playoffs now. We saw what you looked like in a playoff prequel, and you looked like shit, buddy. So I'm going Rams.
All the marbles were there. I mean,
yeah.
You said it exactly right. This was not just a playoff prequel. This was practically a playoff game.
It was a huge game. My gosh.
One team goes and wins home field advantage, a bye to rest their players.
Yep.
And the other team goes and gets a wild card spot and no home games.
Yep.
I mean, it was a playoff game, and that was the performance they gave. I just can't believe in that. I can't.
Yeah, I'm right with you. And we were right all along, ladies and gentlemen, all year.
Yeah, perfect course, baby.
It took 18 weeks for us to be proven correct, but here we are.
Yeah. Now
they're going to win.
Absolutely dominate. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I control the Vikings' destiny. I'm sorry.
No, so I gotta ask before we move on here. I mean, we made our picks at the beginning of the year. I talked about mine a little bit earlier. I picked the Lions to win against the Ravens. You had the Eagles against
Chiefs.
Ravens, Chiefs, one of those two.
Yeah, I had
I'm
Chiefs.
curious. I don't need to know matchups. I don't want to know any of that right now. Just off the top of your head, pick the winner right now. Who you got?
I gotta just go Eagles, man. Eagles. Till they prove me wrong.
That's fair. I mean, I'm torn for me right now because I've told
you gotta go Lions, bro.
I want to go. I want to go Lions, but I do. I want to with every fiber of my heart. Okay, but there is this little section of my brain, and we've talked about it in past podcasts, and I talked about it a little bit there. The defense showed up last week, sure. But can a depleted Lions defense go out and do that week after week after week? They'll need to do it 3 straight games.
Yeah.
And with the bye week, don't get me wrong, we are looking like we might get Knuckles back. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that is big.
Hopefully we get a few defensive pieces back. Hopefully there's quite a few out for the season no matter what. But there's a couple that could make it back. And I'd love to just get some bodies, seriously.
Right. Yeah, it's getting rough over there on the
Yeah,
defense.
I mean Terry and Arnold last week, and he was actually balling. He was
Looked good.
balling in that game.
He's keeping his hands to himself finally.
He's learned. He's learned.
He's learning.
Yeah. He was very cocky after the game. The little just side note: after the game, they asked him about being the 1 seed and top dog and all that. His response was, "I went to Alabama. I'm used to this." Like, dude, you cocky mother. Like,
Yeah.
come on, guy. I don't like that as a Lions fan.
No.
Shut up. Like, get
No.
out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, I want to say the Lions, but I struggle to say a team that is not the Chiefs until it isn't the Chiefs. I mean, so with that said,
let me
go
ask
ahead.
you this.
Yeah.
So let's just say, okay, let's just say the Lions make it.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you want to play out of the AFC? And get rid of the first. Let's talk Chiefs, Bills, or Ravens. Who do you
Chiefs,
want
Bills,
out of
Ravens?
those three? Yeah.
I mean, we went and beat the Chiefs in Week 1 last year, but that was without Travis Kelce. And I feel like I mentioned earlier, they find ways to win, and Patrick Mahomes against our defense, I don't think I really want that. Josh Allen showed he can dice us up already. At the same time, probably be a little bit better prepared for that. Second time around, I think I eliminate the Chiefs, and I'm torn between the Ravens and the Bills. And I think for the mobile threat, I gotta go Bills, actually, which feels ironic given how many points they scored against us, but I think that's actually my ideal out of those three.
Well, there's something to be said for already seeing it this year. That is definitely a valid point. But yeah, I know it was a tough question. And like you said with Jordan Love, not to bring us back into that, but quarterbacks really matter in the postseason. Yeah. Those three quarterbacks in the AFC can just take over a ball game.
Yes.
Like, absolutely just shred you. So it was a tough question. I don't know who you want out of those three.
But throw it back at you. If
I
would go,
I would probably go Chiefs. Honestly.
See, that's tough. I mean, normal convention and thinking absolutely says the Chiefs. They have played like the worst team out of those three teams, regardless of what their record says. I don't really even think that's much of a debate.
No.
But they just go win games.
They do. They do. Well, it's similar to your Bills thing this year. The Eagles didn't play the Chiefs this year, but having that recent Super Bowl experience against them, I feel like that would help. And yeah, I mean, you said it. I just think they're the worst team out of those three, and it's just you got to deal with Mahomes, man. But that's kind of what I was just saying. You got to deal with Josh Allen, man. You got to deal with Lamar Jackson, man. These all three of them, it's like you can't frickin' win, man. But yeah, I would go Chiefs just because of the experience there, and there's definitely a hatred brewing in Philly. I mean, you take us out of the chip, we're not gonna be happy about it. And I mean, if history repeats itself, Eagles lost to the Pats, played the Pats again, came out on top. Eagles lost to the Chiefs, Eagles play the Chiefs again, come on, baby. And just a tiny, tiny little part of me wants it to go down that way because that's what I predicted.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love her Lions Ravens. That'd be kind of cool to be right about that. So that is fun. We'll see who was more correct there. That's gonna be a fun one to see how this. I mean, it's just all so exciting. I love playoff football. You never know. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Super excited. But before we wrap up today, one other thing we did want to talk about for just a few minutes was the teams that aren't participating in the playoff, right?
The Cancun teams.
Yeah, the teams that already know where they're drafting and their scouting departments are now hard at work while their players are indeed on vacation in Cancun.
Yes.
So, I'm going to list off the top 6 of the draft order here. Because I'll tell you, it is not how I saw this order ending up when coming into Week 18 at all. No. I mean, picking first, we got the Titans. I feel pretty safe in saying those Titans are probably going to go and grab a quarterback. I think they are done with Levis. I was very wrong about my breakout prediction there. I own that. Very incorrect. There might have been a little, he used to play for Penn State and then went and balled out Kentucky bias.
You just love mayonnaise. That's what it is.
Hey, mayonnaise is a good condiment, but I certainly don't love it like that man. That man is a different breed, all right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so moving down to 2, we got the Browns. No surprise there. Giants at 3, bit of a surprise. They're back at 3. 4, Pats. LOL. I got to talk about that a little bit. Gerard Mayo, I'd love your opinion. Did Gerard Mayo go into this game knowing it was his last game, or did he not know it was his last game and you think the Patriots front office made the decision after them going and winning?
That's tough. For starters, let me say I do not like this firing. I think he is a good coach, and I think they screwed up. I
agree. What did they expect with that roster? What did they expect with that roster?
Exactly.
We made fun of the Patriots so many times at the beginning of the year because of how crappy we thought they were going to be. And then we ate our words for 2 weeks, and then just like the Vikings, and we're going to be right eventually there, we were so right about the Pats. I mean, garbage team. Just hit a bit of a purple patch.
But he had them playing above themselves and hard every single week. They almost beat the Bills the first time they played. Like, they played above themselves and almost shocked some teams numerous times this year. I just really liked the vibe he created there. Like, we're still the Patriots. Like, we are a winning franchise. This is what we do. Like, I feel like he kind of had that whole environment going. And, yeah, to turn around and fire him after he wins their last game, like, I really don't want to believe that's what went down there. It's very possible because, I mean, it hurt their draft pick. But
to me, because of the reasons that we just said, like, honestly, he probably outperformed this Patriots roster.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you go and make a performance-based firing. I really think that this was the first year without Belichick too, right? So Robert Kraft has no idea how he's going to interact or how much control he's going to have over a coach. And I really believe that Gerard Mayo said to him, "I'm sorry, I'm going to go let my boys play." And they went out and won. And I think that was the last straw for Kraft. Because it just makes no sense for it to be performance-based. Couldn't be culture, right? Because the guys were playing for each other. And as you said, playing above their levels. And that is often because of culture. So I don't think it can be that. So the only thing that makes sense to me is Kraft didn't like that his first coach after Belichick wasn't willing to just roll over for him in Week 18.
Yeah.
I really believe
I also wonder if it has to do with the fact that there's a lot of good names out there that are available this upcoming season. Like, I mean, you got both your coordinators. Like, I think Vrabel, I think they probably want him, an expat.
I think Vrabel's number one, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's who they're after. I mean, he's going to coach a team next year, so they kind of freed up the spot. I mean, he's going to want to go there. I think he's even on record saying he wants to coach there. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it had more so to do with that than anything really Mayo-related. But, I mean, it definitely had to be related to him a little bit if they think Vrabel's that much better or X is that much better. But, yeah, I think it had more to do with what's available and what's out there than, him winning that last game.
That's a fair point, but I feel like if that's the case, do you really make that firing immediately after Week 18? Or is that something you maybe get some feelers out there before you make that decision? I don't know. I feel like for the player reasons, they probably loved Mayo. As you said, culture probably was good. I feel like that it's not great for them. Like, they just finished the game and then Mayo's gone. I don't know. I think he deserves another shot somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, definitely not the way I would have went about that. Yeah. And, I mean, you said it, even if they want to leave the door open, you still have Mayo in for an interview. You get his long-term plan. You get all that stuff. And then you talk to other coaches. You don't just outright fire the dude a day after the last game. Like, that was just not classy at all.
Nope. It was tough. But yeah, we'll move on. Picking at 5 with an interesting decision to make here is the Jags. I'm really curious what they do all the way up at 5. You got the Raiders, then at 6, and Antonio Pierce caught the brunt end of that one too, getting fired. Was that today, right? The official acts
I think
today.
That was, yeah.
So that was unfortunate for him, but honestly, that one's really tough because, gosh, their talent level is not good, especially on the offensive end. It is not good. But at the same time, I don't think they were moving in the right direction either in terms of becoming a cohesive unit. The guy couldn't decide on a quarterback, and it's one thing if guys are getting hurt and you got to rotate, or you give a guy a run of games, but no, starting Gardner Minshew and then pulling him sometime
like 4 weeks in a row.
Like, you can't do that. Just give Aiden O'Connell the start. So to me, that one made sense. I don't know that he has a future as a good coach. I really questioned his team management there. So that one made sense to me personally. And
what doesn't make sense is them at 6. Like the way, you just said it. The way they were managing the team, the talent they had. Like, how are they all the way at 6? Like, they should be number 1. My gosh.
Yep. I do agree with that.
And that's a tough spot. Like, really curious what they do with that pick. Like, if I were them, I'd think about getting out. Or, getting out or moving up.
Yeah. Like, 6 is just an awkward spot for them.
It really is.
Where the player they can get there probably isn't going to make a difference for next year, and they just end up in the same spot. So, as you said, it might be the smartest thing to try to accumulate a bunch of future picks.
Right.
If there's a guy another team's willing to move up for there. Who knows? We'll find out. 7, the Jets. Aaron Rodgers last year, and his team ends up 7th in the draft order. That is a tough one. It really does suck to see a legend of the game go out like that. Regardless of what you think of Aaron Rodgers, it sucks to see a legend of the game go out on such a bad note. His last 2 years were awful. I mean, it is the worst end to a storied career I can remember in my lifetime. Goes out and tears the Achilles, works extremely hard to get back, and then the following year, just the team never gets together. Change head coaches early on. The offense never clicked. You got Garrett Wilson being a diva because they brought in Devontae Adams, and he's pissed about that. And
it's a mess. It is a shit show there. Yep. I don't know what's with these New York teams, man.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Terrible. It's terrible. And I'll hand it over to you after this one. This is the last one I want to talk about here because it's the most impressive of. It's a W for the Panthers that I have not said their name yet. They are all the way back at 8. They are all the way back at 8. They figured out how to go and win some games, and I'll be damned, they were very close to winning quite a few more after Bryce Young reinserted himself at the start. They were some very close
against some impressive opponents.
Yes. The Chiefs, the Buccaneers. Actually, the Buccaneers smacked them.
Eagles. Chiefs, Eagles.
Yep, exactly. So I think there is some potential in that team, and I think Bryce Young may have found the confidence or whatever he needed for the NFL to click for him and at least be a good quarterback, because he did look very good. Very good.
Well, and
it's
teams in like a spot similar to theirs that the last game of the year can mean a lot too. And that, I mean, what more could you want? He had a 5-touchdown performance. They beat a division rival in a shootout. And I just feel like they're going to want to ride that high all off season long, man. I mean, this team had the lowest of expectations going into this year, I'm sure. They were just hoping for any kind of improvement. They had a lot of improvement. They won a lot more games than a lot of people thought they would. And, I mean, we said it. They almost won a few more against, like, some legit opponents. So, I think they got a lot to be proud of this year.
Yeah, especially to do it how they did it. I mean, struggling immensely at the beginning of the year, looking like it is just another lost season of disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And for a team like that, to know that even if they do bounce back, their season is already over in terms of playoffs and they're playing the 18 weeks. For a team to find it within themselves to really bounce back and go full out Love to see it. So I think there is some real potential down there in Carolina. I mean, they've done it before. Cam Newton years, so it's not a dead franchise like some of these other guys that are consistently just at the bottom because they don't know what they're doing. There's potential there, so we'll see. But yeah, to you, any of the last 10 teams that we got on the list here you want to talk about? Anything you find interesting, sir?
Well, I'll tell you what I fear, and that's the Cowboys at 12. Really don't want him to get jaunty.
It seems like a logical spot for him. Cutting
it does.
Zeke,
It really
Dowdle
does.
Wasn't great.
And you look at the teams around there in that area, really don't need a running back. So,
that's true.
Yeah, it's scary. Unless there's some trade action going down, I feel like that is a likely outcome. And, yeah, just as an Eagles fan, really don't want to deal with his shit for, 7 years or whatever?
Yeah.
No thanky. Other than that, nothing much, really. I mean, we got my Bears there sitting at 10. O-line, please.
They better draft O-line for Caleb.
You can get the second best tackle at 10 this year, honestly. Like, the O-linemen are not going to fly off the board this year. So I'm really hoping that's the route they go. And who knows, maybe they even get the best one. But, yeah, they're at 10, and then anything else here. The Dolphins are kind of intriguing because that was a team that really underperformed. A lot of people, saw them in the playoffs for sure, and some maybe even thought they'd make a deep run. But they're sitting at 13. They're a team that really doesn't need too many pieces. So I'm curious what they do there.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like Tyreek might want out of Miami there.
Yeah,
so
that is true.
If he leaves, I think they'll probably go wide receiver.
Yeah.
They'll probably get the number 2 or 3 wide out at that spot.
Yeah, they squashed him asking for a trade today. They came out and said they had team meetings and he said nothing. McDaniel sat him down, had a heart-to-heart, told him how unacceptable it is to leave a game mid-game. But yeah, I don't really know how that's all going to shake out. Cause
as an organization, regardless of how good Tyreek may be, he wasn't even that good this year.
Mm-hmm.
Guy leaves the game, I'd never let him back in my locker room. I don't care.
Amen,
that has to be it.
Yeah,
of your
I don't think you
relationship
can
with my squad.
Right. Yeah, I don't think you can take that seriously enough. You cannot quit on the boys like that. Quit on the team. Quit on everybody. Quit on the fans. I mean, it says a lot about a guy's character, and that's the kind of character I do not want in my locker room.
100%. And that's the kind of thing where if I'm another player on the Dolphins and McDaniels does, say Tyreek stays and McDaniels does, throw him out there, that's a broken locker room if I'm in there. I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about that. I mean, we saw it with the 49ers and all those guys. It's a bit of a problem for me. I love how all the 49ers guys were so outspoken about it, but I didn't really see any Dolphins guys coming out there and saying anything about Tyreek. You got to hold him accountable. That was a game where you still had a chance to go get in the playoffs too, man. Go finish that game.
I know.
What are we doing here? Couldn't believe it. Truly unacceptable. So I am curious to see what they do there, but my gut says wide out.
Plus, and to your point about that just being unacceptable if you're in that locker room and he comes back, that is just not cool. That's because of special treatment, right? If say this happens to Taj Washington or whatever their third or fourth wideout is, or Malik Washington, if he does that, he's gone forever. You are not coming back. But because you're Tyreek Hill, you can. And that whole thing, that whole picture there, you can't have that in your locker room. I really hope they do punish him. I don't know what kind of control they have over these things, but if they could, he's not getting that game check if that is up to the Dolphins, whether or not he gets that. But I don't know.
And he shouldn't.
But there definitely needs to be a punishment there.
I totally agree, and for me that punishment should be nothing less than goodbye Miami. Even if that's what you want, fine by me, I'll give you what you want. Adios. Make it easy for me. I'm not paying you anymore. I'll go get a cheap rookie. That's my mindset. It's just that easy. But yeah, I think with that we are just about wrapped up. So everybody, thank you again for joining us for another episode of Palm City Chucks. We got the college semifinals this week. We got the first round of NFL playoffs.
Yes!
So much exciting shit is going down in the football world in the coming week, and we will be back with you next week to talk about it all. Please give us a like, subscribe, comments. Let us know what you want us to be talking about, what you think. We appreciate you all. See you, everybody.
Go Birds! Later, PCC!